Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.
Hello and welcome to Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective. I'm your host, Parumita Chatterjee. Now, the organizational ecosystem has expanded the boundaries of customer experience beyond single technology platforms into multiple locations, both physical and digital, and through multiple channels. And it's companies that leverage this combination of operational experience and excellence and customer experience, which are the ones that thrive in today's complex environment. So today on the CEO Roundtable, we're going to talk about how an optimal mix of operational excellence and customer experience can improve a company's return on investment. And to discuss that, let me introduce you to our panelists, starting with Amit Chopra, Managing Director, India and South Asia, Thermo Fisher Scientific; Sandeep Maheshwari, COO, Raymond Realty; Subodh Mehta, Senior Vice President, B2C, Godrej Interior; and Scott Drummonds, Vice President, APJ Solution Consulting at ServiceNow. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Now, as I said, and I'd like to start with that, it's a very different sort of business environment that all companies are operating in, especially post the pandemic as we emerge out of it. It's the new phygital world. Amit, let me start with you and really help us make those linkages, because typically there's a lot of talk about maximizing customer experience and really improving it for customers, a very demanding customer. But, making that connection with improving the business processes, the back-end support systems, how do you make that connection, and does it really improve the return on investment?
So thanks for the question, Paramita. I think to put it very simply, yes. We've found through years of perfecting our model of relentlessly improving business processes using our PPI business system, that's a continuous improvement system that we have in the company, eliminating waste, improving the ability of our front-end staff, who are the touch points of the customers, to respond faster, has a huge impact on customer experience. We measure it. It's an iterative loop, so we measure what's good and what's not so good. We feed back into our business processes which are broken or which need to be fixed or where we need to eliminate waste. And we see dramatic improvements, and we have seen dramatic improvements in the way customer experience has improved as our business processes have improved and as our operational excellence has improved.
So it's a concrete, measurable number that you can look at. I mean, share with us, how is it improved?
So we measure something we call customer allegiance score, which is nothing but the net promoter score of a company, which enables us to measure what our customers think of us, and we measure it along different dimensions. For example, sales, order fulfillment, the web experience, after-sales service, and we do hundreds of surveys every month. This allows us to actually get very granular into what the customers really think about different aspects of their touch points with us. Understand what's working and what isn't working, and then go baback and fix what's not working. So really arrive at a root cause.
And very interesting, because as you were telling us that you're, of course, in the B2B space.
Yes.
And, your business has grown manifold. I mean, we'll share those numbers in just a bit, but clearly that has been your experience. You've seen those concrete returns. But Sandeep, let me come to you. I mean, you are in the B2C space. You're essentially selling houses to people like you and me. How does it work for you?
Basically, Raymond brand ethos is on the trust, quality, excellence, and the customer-centric principles, which we ensured into the Raymond reality, how we create the customer experience while delivering the operational experience and excellence on doing the projects. So basically, in this pandemic period also, when this company has launched this project in 2019, our chairman is completely vision is that we have to do the standard quality homes as per the customer satisfaction and the eccentric. So what we did in the pandemic period, we look into the theory of constraints, like which are the bottlenecks, what are the OTIF, on-time delivery, which we learned from the operational manufacturing process of 97 years, how we do apply into the construction industries, how we deliver the project within the RERA timelines. The first project, fastest project we are doing, we are delivering 2 years before the RERA timelines. So our objective is to commit more than you commit less and deliver more.
So basically, you improved on those operational bottlenecks, that improved customer experience, it reinforced the customer trust, and hence customers are coming back to buy more.
And then we get an uptick of that, that you're putting up the operational excellence. The customer is seeing is believing. So customer sees that whatever the project and product he's been invested, he's seeing that these buildings are coming up.
Right. Okay. So, both, let me ask you to respond to that, because it's a very competitive environment, including the space that you're operating in. Would you say in that sense, going for operational excellence is a low-hanging fruit which automatically delivers result? Or in an environment where you have to think about spending every dollar, it perhaps comes down in the list of priorities?
Yeah. So definitely, and things are changing pretty fast. And in our industry, which is extremely competitive now, I think what is important is the prioritization if you really want to succeed and get a good ROI. So first part is, what are the touch points you want to focus on in the long customer journey? So you need to focus on those touch points and make sure that what are the processes which are delivering value at those touch points, and you really disproportionately invest your resources in those touch points. The second prioritization comes with respect to processes. So there are myriads of processes which are required to run a business and really deliver a good experience to the customer. So you need to identify the key processes at the back end also, which are very important for you to focus on.
So did digitization sort of help you? Did analytics help you? Because you need to identify those points.
It does. So once you identification, obviously you do it along with the customer. You understand their needs and expectations, and you have a long sort of history of data about how you have performed. Based on that, you identify the key processes. But now once you have identified, of course, very important will be to digitize and automate those processes as much as possible, so that you deliver a consistent experience seamlessly across time.
So basically, Subodh, you're saying that once you've identified, automate, digitize, that's a low-hanging fruit, and automatically you'll see some of those returns come in. Scott, you've been hearing from B2C players, from B2B players. In terms of actually seeing the returns, because that's what companies need to see, especially 2 years after the pandemic, when most businesses have been hit or they've had to sort of reorient themselves. How would you address this issue? I mean, how do you respond to companies who say, listen, maybe I need to look at other areas other than operational excellence and business support systems in order for me to improve my return on investment?
Well, the first thing I will point out is that underlying all of these trends is digitization of the business. So digital business platforms power the business that bring everyone together to better serve the customer. At ServiceNow, we believe firmly that connecting everyone allows the entire business to serve the customer. That addresses several of the issues here. Digitization, which allows us to measure and have a tight feedback loop. It provides the opportunity for optimization. It improves automation to simplify, and gives ultimately a much better customer experience. An agile business that connects the people that are interfacing our customers to all of the support in their organization is always going to deliver a better customer experience. And as we all know, it is all about the customer's experience for us to create revenue. So I firmly believe that get the operational experience right, it will drive the customer experience.
Indeed, and a great point, Amit. I want you to respond to that, because digitization is a very broad term. And for instance, for you at the company, you were telling us you've made 100+ acquisitions. You've got 85 ERP systems. So when you began, and you began really this whole digitization journey, especially in the last 2 years, how did you go about it?
So we had, 3 core principles that we looked at, 3 broad areas of digital transformation. One really clearly was, how do we enhance commercial transactions through our digital platforms? The second was around things that we've talked about, automation, productivity. How do we automate processes that can be automated, which will free up resources for us to do things which create more value for our customers? And finally, which is the broadest category, is how do we actually transform customer experience through digitization? Let me give you a great example. During the pandemic, it was very difficult to move around, and obviously a lot of our business depends on our customers experiencing our products and understanding our workflows. we created virtual experience platforms. We created something called a Labatar, where customers could experience our workflows virtually using VR and AR tools. And this was one way of transforming their experience, which is to help them experience what it would look like to have a COVID-19 workflow lab, for example, and then be able to quickly move to execution without wasting time on physically visiting and understanding the workflows.
Right.
So there are multiple such examples of using digital tools and technologies to transform customer experience. And those have been the three sort of pillars in the way we have looked at digital transformation.
So both, let me come, yes, Sandeep.
Similarly, in the real estate also, we have created the customer app. We have made the online booking app also for our NRI customers. So they can virtually see the entire process, product, work in progress. So customer can enjoy that how their the house they have booked, how they are progressing. So we have created the digital platform.
If I may ask you, a lot of companies create apps, and a point well taken. But in terms of the back-end servicing of that app, did you have to change a lot of your processes? Because as I said, you are a company with, more than 100-year-old brand. So did you have to also sort of make those changes?
So we have to make changes because it is going to the business to business. Like for the Raymond Realty business with the specialized agencies, we have created app for the particular business where the customer experience has been seen, why the customer can go to the inventories, balance inventories, how much inventory is sold, how the work is progressing, and how the customer can see that entire project.
Okay.
So that's because of this pandemic, if the customer cannot come to your site, he can see the entire process of your operational excellence, and he can seeing is believing is the thing which is into real estate, because real estate is a time where into
Very
delivery
the customer is
and
really,
emotional investments of the family, and it's like 50 years sustainable and acceptable low cost maintenance cost development should be there.
Okay, let's take a break on that note. Subodh and Scott, I'm going to come back to you for reactions. You're watching the CEO Collective, where today we are trying to make the connection between optimizing operational performance and how that can deliver on a better customer experience for companies. Don't go anywhere.
Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective. Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.
Welcome back. You're watching the COO Collective, and today we are in conversation with our esteemed panelists about why and how should companies improve on their operational performance in order to deliver on a much better customer experience, and what role digitization plays in all of that. We have Subodh Mehta with us from Godrej Interior. So, digitization has become a buzzword. It's become something that companies, almost have to use, even if they're not seeing a lot of the returns. And, that's a question I wanted to ask you. I mean, even in your space where you're operating in, buying furniture is an emotional decision. It's a journey that a customer takes in order to come to your store and finally pick up that product. How did you approach this whole aspect of, digitization and improving business processes in order to deliver on better experience?
Yeah. So one part is basically focus on the digital tools, which will improve the customer experience and the interaction between the employee and the customer. So name a few. Room planner, for example, if you really want to buy furniture, one thing comes to your mind: how will it look in my room? Is it dimensionally integrity is being managed in a sense that a particular sofa should not be bigger than your room, so it can't fit. So room planner, product configurator, etc. And then visual 3D visualization is extremely important. Then AR, VR, of course, the standard thing which has already come. So we have to use all the digital tools basically for the interaction, and that is what is helping a great deal. So, and we are very sure that very soon, within 1.5 years, once we start using those tools and refine them, we start getting the ROI in terms of what we have invested. Now, second part is very important, that you achieve customer experience to employee experience, which means all the required information should be available to the employee. I think one of the main reasons where sometimes we don't deliver the experience as well as we want to, because the required information is not available with the employee or with the customer. So I think the back-end processes should be such, and the automation and the data information should be such that real time the employee should be having an access to the information which customer may ask. For example, customer wants a delivery period. Customer want when the mechanic is coming for the installation.
Yes, it sounds like a familiar experience and
should be available at the fingertip.
Absolutely. So delivering on employee experience, and Scott, let me bring you in here because the last 2 years have been a game changer. We've heard several aspects coming up, including employee experience. I mean, make that connection back to us in terms of really identifying those key business processes, as Subodh said, which improve on employee experience and hence deliver on a better customer experience.
Well, the first thing I'll point out is underlying all of this to connect everyone together are actually changing consumer sentiments. I don't believe that any of us 20 years ago were that worried about these digital channels and applications. In fact, I don't know that we had the devices to run them. But today, in this market, in this very dynamic country, everyone expects that type of engagement. They want instant engagement. They want access to the information they want. They want fast response. They want it all digital, and they want it now. But the thing that we forget about sometimes that I really like that Subodh introduced is our customer experience is delivered by our employees. And there is a philosophy that exists that if you take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers. So these are the two, I think, basic principles in business that allow us to again, improve efficiencies operationally and deliver great customer experience. Digitally enabled employees connected to a digitally enabled customer service, connected to digital customers. Bring them all together and we have the ability to measure, to improve, to optimize, and deliver great experiences for both.
Give us some real-time examples, Amit. You know, one of the things that employees, for instance, struggle to answer is when will the product actually reach the customer? And that goes back to supply chain issues, for instance. I mean, how does digitization, or in your case, you've used analytics extensively to really forecast and hence improve your processes? I mean, it's a feedback system because you have really seen on-ground returns from those kind of investments.
Yeah, we have invested heavily in integrating data from the various CRMs and ERP systems we have in our company to create a data lake, and then extract meaningful data from that data lake to enable our customer-facing employees to have at the click of a button information they need to feed to customers, right? So what used to take 8 or 9 different processes now takes a single step process. It's an AI-driven process where the AI tool is learning continuously and improving. It's iterative.
Has the AI ever made a big mistake? I mean, tell us some of the lessons learned.
Let me give you an example. I think it's iterative, right? So we deal with hundreds of thousands of SKUs. Forecasting them isn't always very easy. And even the sort of less forecastable SKUs, we have fed years and years of data into the AI system. And iteratively, we see month-on-month improvement in our forecast accuracy.
Right.
Which means that our ability to service and fix instruments on time goes up, our customer experience improves, and that's a virtuous cycle.
So you haven't really faced those inventory issues ki, maal nahi hai dukaan mein. There is no stuff in the store because it hasn't reached.
It's a question of continuous improvement, right? I think when you deal post-pandemic, you talked about the supply chain challenges, right? It's been a very constrained supply chain in many product lines across the world. But it's about how do you improve, how do you continuously measure yourself and improve it every year, sort of month on month, day by day. And that's what AI allows us to do.
Yours is a company where the leadership is completely invested in really making these kind of transitions. So both, do you think, it really requires that kind of investment? I mean, analytics is something, machine learning, blockchain, I mean, these have become very sort of go-to buzzwords by most companies. But, does the leadership really understand it? And how much of a buy-in is required for, really that to be translated into digitizing and optimizing some of the processes that Scott spoke about?
Yeah, so I think our philosophy has been to start from the customer and start from the business outcomes which you are looking for, rather than starting from the buzzword. So it's like, having a solution and finding the problem.
So the solution needn't always be digital, you're saying?
Right. No, so I'm saying and not necessarily that you have to use everything and you have to use machine learning, AI in the areas, you don't have to jump to the solution. But I think let's understand what problem you're trying to solve. What is the outcomes you want from the business? What is the kind of issues you face in customer experience, delivery, etc. And as I said earlier also, I think those are the starting points. Once you understand these are the areas that I want to solve, then you go back and look for the various ways of solutions. Yes, the AI and machine learning for a manufacturing organization is getting more and more important, and everybody is experimenting and learning. So there is no doubt about it. But I think starting point has to be the problem you want to solve and not the solution which is moving around.
Sandeep, you're nodding your head, or are you sort of on the fence? Because a lot of companies are on the fence on this.
Yeah, because the learning AI and the machine learning is a continuous manufacturing process. Is of course there is a substance, but if you ask about the real estate, wherein there is a lot of uncertainties are there, like in the last 6 months we suffered the Ukraine war and the uncertain increase in the price of the commodities.
Right.
So that has to be, this is a completely management call and the ownership call between the employee.
So analytics doesn't help you sort of forecast some of those issues?
Sometimes, because it is sometimes it's a quick change, like it is now the Russia is disrupted the supply.
So basically you're saying geopolitics, I mean AI is not going to be able to handle that.
Yeah,
Scott, how do you respond? You know, these are traditional B2C companies sort of sitting on the fence.
I'd like to actually unify them together. Both Amit says the importance of AI and machine learning and planning. I completely agree with that. And Subodh says, don't start with the technology, start with the customer outcome. I think they're both true. And here's why that is. More and more, we see our customers don't want to buy standalone artificial intelligence, standalone machine learning. They want those capabilities, the ability to predict, to react, and to automate, to be baked into the tools they already have. We in the IT industry have sold so many tools over the years. They want less tools, more platforms. At ServiceNow, we've baked artificial intelligence and machine learning right into the platform, so we get the benefits of focusing on customer outcomes first, but including AI to optimize and help out the business.
Right. Fantastic. On that note, Scott, Subodh, Sandeep, and Amit, thank you so much for joining us on this very engaging panel discussion and very insightful as well. So there you heard it from B2B as well as B2C players as well as a service provider about really how they are relooking, reimagining the entire business operations point of view, and of course how they're trying to deliver on a better customer experience, whether it is maximizing employee experience or the other tools that they're looking at managing in these uncertain times. Thank you so much for joining us on this special discussion.
Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.